In a world of disappearing biodiversity, where contemporary culture indicates ongoing detachment from nature, it's urgent we address our ecological misalignment. The Companion Species Manifesto highlights the importance of non-human relationships and calls for the dissolution of cultural binaries such as subject-object, human-non-human, and nature-culture. Maybe it's time to develop more abstract relationships with nature. So rather than explore humans and their pets, I entered the wild to see what could be learnt about interspecies communication and relationships. Wild culture is about generating playful insights on urban ecology and challenging audiences to rethink their perceptions of nature. On the 15th of October 2017, during Storm Ophelia, I saw 4 ravens doing amazing acrobatics. It was one of the best things I've ever seen, and so began my unplanned journey into the fascinating world of the crow. From ornithology to mythology, crows visible in the urban landscape include ravens, rooks, hooded crows, jays, magpies and jackdaws. Crows are unusually intelligent and highly communicative. They communicate using combinations of sounds, gestures and feather posturing, and known to communicate beyond their species. Crows develop a local culture transmitted through intergenerational and social learning. It currently favours the avoidance of humans. Most interestingly, crows engage in highly interactive social play and meet in groups specifically to play. Based on our ontological commonalities, I adopted play as a methodology to see what could be learnt about interspecies communication and the potential for meaningful relationships. In other words, I wanted to play and talk with crows, but first I had to attract some and strip myself of my human cynicism. The garden birds went through 10 fat balls a week, and whatever else I tried. I hoped to develop a relationship with the local ravens, as they were the most intelligent. But in the beginning, the hooded crows were the most visible, so I studied them. I even gave an ethnography lecture about them. The Woodland Cartel. Far from social, they stole fat balls and guarded the area from other crows. They didn't want a relationship with me. This research was turning out to be a significant test of optimism and patience. Nature was in control. It wasn't until the 22nd of February 2018, over 20 weeks later, that I recorded a calm rook visit. I enjoyed watching him twist the net tighter and tighter around the fat ball, so the fat ooze is over. They were using the net as a tool. There's a playful repetition to the process also. The visits became more frequent and it was difficult to quantify how many were visiting the tree. I nervously began opening the balcony door. I didn't want to frighten them and ruin the potential for a deeper relationship. I whistled and talked to them to make them more comfortable with my sounds. It's normal. Kind of. After a week I started going out to the garden in an attempt to build a deeper relationship. I whistled to alert them. They flew off if others exited.
Don't think they're going to get much closer than this.
They observably enjoy the attention and interactions. One of the things I found most fascinating about crows is that they tease other species for fun. One of the ravens is after flying to the top of the hooded crow's nesting tree, just to annoy them. Perched at the top, the raven taunts and teases them, while comfortably dodging their attacks. It then flies off for the chase, outflying them in seconds with an impressive spin move. It was all a game. The relationships were progressing quickly. I learnt about their varied expressions, attitudes and personalities. There's a lot going on in their minds. Do not underestimate their intelligence or their capacity for play. I learnt about playful proximity and their range of play attitudes. Crows treat many interactions like a game. I moved accommodation in April 2018, and this was the last time I was going to see one of the crows. My whistle was noticeably solemn. The research was postponed indefinitely. I struggled adjusting to daily life without frequent interactions with crows. I started dreaming about them nightly. It wasn't until the 20th of August 2018, in a local park known as the Peace Park, that I encountered playful crows again. I observed some young rooks playing with a food wrapper before going in for a closer look. They were surprisingly comfortable with my presence, so I got involved. I walked over slowly, they moved back. I picked up the wrapper, ripped it, and put it back down. They then rushed in to reclaim it. So in a way, I played too. I was excited. I knew the park setting could facilitate a range of playful interactions. The Peace Park became research site too, and conveniently, I lived only minutes away. I moulded bread into small pellets and threw. They observably enjoyed it, jumping, catching and chasing. It developed a play atmosphere quickly.
Playtime.
Within weeks I was a celebrated source of play for a group of mostly teenage rooks. These rooks do not live in the park but meet to forage and play. Crows enjoy routine, so it's easy to sync up.
Guess who just got back today? Them wild-eyed boys that had been away haven't changed, had much to say. But man, I still think them cats are crazy. They were asking if you were around, how you was, where you could be found. I told them you were living downtown, driving all the old men crazy. The boys are back in town, boys are back in town. I said, the boys are back in town, the boys are back in town.
By October I added a third research site. More young rooks began appearing on UCC campus, and I'd sensed played before. It's less than a mile between the park and campus. The more familiar park rook introduces the others to the basic rules of the game, but more importantly communicates that the human need not be avoided, that I could be trusted, that I could be played with. Normally they store the pellets in their mouth to bury or discard later. Maybe there's a level of quantifiable achievement involved here also. Do not underestimate the crow's sense of self. The next element of their play is their bluffing. Crows cache food by burying or hiding it for later, and are remarkably thorough. Much of the time they are pretending to be doing something, but really observing their caches and who's hiding what where. Their daily interactions transpire as a game. In one day the most I spent with crows was 2 hours over 3 occasions. It could be every day in a good week, maybe only once in a bad, regardless of weather. I didn't film every interaction and only recorded occasionally with my phone. We can play for an hour before they observably get bored and find different play. Crows love exploring and find toys wherever they go. If a teenage rook has something it thinks the others want, it will hold it overhead to tease and look for a challenge or a chase. It took me some time to understand why they brought me over to the seagulls, and why they only got excited for big pieces of bread today. Of course. I added more variety to our play and introduced games about placement and hiding, but more importantly, involving our movements and proximity. The more we played, the closer we became. Our play led to a desire for increased interspecies interaction, communication and understanding. They began directing me more in our interactions. I was accepted as a social player in a travelling playground. The crows and human travelling between the park and campus established an appropriate playground language and behaviour from which trust grew and was transmitted through local crow culture. Many crows display an interest in playing with me, but also in my human life, curious about where I'm going and who with.
There you go.
One of the most bizarre moments during the research is when I suspected a young rook followed me from UCC because I'd clean drinking water. I poured some on the pavement and couldn't believe what happened next. We had developed an understanding beyond the norm.
You again. Hello. Here we go. Hey, that's my finger. Finger. Finger.
Our established cultural barriers of not touching
Finger.
have been broken. From a willingness to play grew a willingness to get to know the other.
Hello.
I attempted to positively influence their diet with more protein,
Hello.
but I was co-constructed as a source of interaction and play, seldom required for nutrition. Unfortunately, they prefer fast food. Crows play vocal mimicry with important social actors, so I tested a whistle after being followed from UCC by 2 ravens. That was the raven. Then also at campus. Now the raven could be making these sounds for a number of reasons, but it is conceivable it's play. Other crows drop down for more obviously playful recitals.
Hello. 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 Hello.
But it's aerial play that crows are best at. There is an observable intelligence and structure to their play, like a game of chasing or follow the leader. I've been directed from the park on numerous occasions to watch them fly. It often follows our interspecies play. Group play operates as a form of social learning, where the young can learn movements and acrobatics, but also as an occasion to find a worthy match, and a mate for life. Their erratic movements are impossible to film. That's my line anyway. I've been accepted as a social player by many crows, but I have a special bond with one young rook. We can play different games. Here we are playing a game of run and stop. Wherever I was, this rook would appear to play, or vice versa. Our paths cross almost daily. Our interspecies bond is much deeper than with any pet I've ever had. This free and intelligent crow chooses to meet because of our mutual desire for play. We are indeed interspecies friends. Because of our bond, I tried to play fetch. Unsuccessful at first, but not before long I was being invited to play ball. My polite rook friend even says hello.
Hello. Hello.
I took the ball home for a couple of days. When I returned, the toy is reclaimed.
Here you go, your toy.
Hopefully I've communicated trust in the sharing of our toy. Gladly, I'm not spared any trickery.
Hello. Ah.
I was unprepared for the stigma. When you play and talk with crows, people think you're crazy. A reminder of our distance from nature, a symptom of our times. When we immerse with species, we not only gain some of their perspective, we subconsciously think through them. The crow's behaviour became a lens to examine life in contemporary culture. I've disengaged with busy communication technology, and my desire for human interaction has diminished. My playful spirit has been restored. I feel healthier. I feel energised. I have a deeper understanding of the interwoven complexity of nature and my place in it. Thinking through more species will be required to address our cultural detachment and ecological misalignment. Many humans observed or filmed our interspecies play, but disappointingly remained as spectators. The wild culture travelling playground, by nature, is open and accepting. This research highlights the potential of play to reduce the gap between nature and contemporary culture, to inspire interspecies communication, trust and friendships. Play can impact both the human and non-human cultures positively. Therein lies play's natural beauty. Our established cultural barriers of avoidance have been transcended. The next generation of crows will be born into an established culture of interspecies interaction and goodwill. Who knows what play the future holds?